And after the longest 2 years, grueling 2 years, with a terrible supporting cast of James Harden, Kyrie Irving, they couldn't get it
Okay,
done.
okay. Cut him some slack. Cut him
Kevin
some slack.
Durant won't
Cut him
sell.
some slack. Cut him some slack. Because the supporting cast was horrible. You had James Harden at his worst, and you had Kyrie going on and on about like not being vaxxed, and so James Harden, and KD didn't even get to play together. But we're talking about Kevin Durant here. This might be one of the most interesting traits because when I think of Kevin Durant, I think of Kevin Durant as always a number two, number three player of our generation. Was Steph. I would never see LeBron.
Whoa, where's the about to say? Where's LeBron?
I said number two or number
Yeah,
three.
okay.
LeBron's one. LeBron's one. Like LeBron, Steph, and KD, in my eyes, were always three guys that would go sign places, but would never actually get traded. You know what I mean? And so the fact that KD could get traded is so
For the second
weird
time.
to me. Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, you gotta think about it. This is a very. This situation is full of turmoil. Kyrie Irving is a flake. You can't rely on him. Just personality wise. I'm a Duke fan. Yeah, I love Kyrie. But
When
he's
he's on the
whack.
basketball court, he's amazing. It's just
Best, second,
best ability
second best
is
point guard in the
available.
league. But
Yeah, I would definitely say that.
he's so good. But he's just a weird dude. He's just a really weird dude. And I don't blame him for not wanting to be with him. And James Harden lost his step, wanted out, and how much value left. And if you're thinking about your career, about your longevity, if you want to win another championship, you gotta get out of Brooklyn. And I don't really fault him for that, but you just gotta think about the optics. You leave Golden State. Well, first you leave the Thunder to go to a super team, win 2 championships. Considered a cupcake, considered a snake. So you're like, okay, let me make my own team. You make your own team by signing two of the top five most best players of the decade, James Harden and Kyrie Irving. You signed some all-decade players right there, and you
Yeah.
create this NBA 2K super team. People think the Death Squad. You bring in Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond. What's his name?
LaMarcus
Aldridge. You have the God Squad. You got everybody.
from
Patty.
2013, bro.
Okay, I'm just saying the optics. I'm just looking at the optics here. And then after 2 years later, you couldn't make it past the second round, and now you want to go to a new team. So optically, Kevin Durant looks like the biggest cupcake on earth, but I don't completely blame him for leaving. So
I don't either.
let's
And I
take.
think that the Harden trade was the most detrimental part of that.
But you gotta admit, he looks so soft from this. He looks like,
He looks super soft, but I think
well, he is, but this trade isn't why.
look, I also think you really just got to empathize with this dude. He wanted to create his own thing, but instead he gets Kyrie flaking out on him. They trade basically everything for James Harden. James Harden loses a step the moment he gets there,
And they're both hurt, and
and
he has to try and carry their team by
he
himself.
has to try to carry the
Push the
team,
Bucks to 7 games.
and he did. He
He was a
pushed the
shoe
eventual
size away
champions.
from winning that series.
And look, they would have beaten Atlanta. They would have definitely given Phoenix a run for their money too. So I think that I think he's had a pretty tough time in Brooklyn, and as much as we want to blame him, as much as the media is going to blame him, a lot of it is not his fault. He did his thing. He got that. He was on the court and he was balling, but it's
Maybe not this
hard
season. He
when.
was hurt this season.
But definitely last season. But it's hard
Last
when you're
season he was so
supposed.
tough.
Last season he was the best player in the world, but it's hard when your supposed two other co-stars are flaking out on you consistently, and they've sucked away all your other assets, so you don't have a supporting cast.
So
Look,
one,
Nick Claxton is solid, but that's not a championship winning supporting cast at all.
let's talk about return. What can the Nets get from him? He's got 4 years left on his contract. He's got no leverage in the world to be pushing this trade. So what do you think they can get back in return? What's a realistic package? Because last time he had all the leverage, so they traded him for D'Angelo Russell. No
But
value.
that was a
Sign
sign
and trade. I'm just saying, like last time, all the leverage. This time, no leverage. What are they going to be able to demand in this trade?
I think they'll get I think they'll get a young, promising talent. Is it someone at the level of Devin Booker? I don't know, but if it's someone at the level of like Scotty Barnes or even a little bit better, like Pascal Siakam, I think that's kind of the road you're looking at. You're going to get a plethora of picks. Brooklyn will make up for all of their losses in the James Harden trade, and I think you'll get one or two other role players. So there are three suitors that come to mind: Phoenix, Miami, and Toronto. I think those seem like the top three, the consensus top three, rumors
I'll
wise.
throw in some names later, but let's talk about those three to start off with. Phoenix. This is the team that you look at, and you've heard the rumors that a package has to start with Devin Booker, and that's just not gonna
And
happen
I don't
because
think
then the
that's
trade is off.
feasible.
The trade is off then.
I don't think it's feasible. I don't think Phoenix wants to do that, and they're smart not to do that either. So I think we can cross off Phoenix.
But
Miami,
if they were to do something, I mean, you could look at eight, to sign and trade, and then you throw in Mikal Bridges and 5 picks, and you have a compelling offer. But the Nets, you're gonna be looking at best offer available and not best team available. So I think this Phoenix is off the table as well.
Miami, it's probably going to be centered around.
I'll tell you what, it can't be centered around Bam because you can't have
Yeah,
two
it's not
max
going to be
level
Bam.
rookies on the same team. So I forget who said it or what the cause was. I just know it. Bam can't
It's
be in
is
the
it the
trade.
Rose Rule?
No,
But
I don't know what the player on the Nets is that is causing this to be held up. But I just know that it can't happen.
could it involve Tyler?
It can involve Tyler.
I think you'd have to throw in Butler instead. Also to match salaries up too.
Well, I think Duncan Robinson has to be part of the because they wouldn't want to give up Butler in terms of the direction of this team because Butler is this team. You would want to pair Butler with somebody. So I think you throw in Hero and
Throw in
uh,
Hero Robinson.
Rob, but then that's a worse package than you're getting from Phoenix. So honestly, I don't think you're gonna be. I think you take this team off the books.
And I think that leaves you with Toronto, who has it's gonna be centered around Scotty Barnes, the rookie of the year. Throw in Ananobi. They have a plethora of picks, and they also have a lot of good role players. So no, you are not getting someone as sexy as Tyler Hero. Oh wait, bro, that sounded so weird as hell. Okay, not like that. Someone as flashy. Oh shit.
You good? You good? I know what you meant. The fans
someone
know.
as someone as flashy as Tyler Hero, or someone as flashy as like Devin Booker, which obviously wouldn't happen. But you're gonna get a bunch of guys that know how to play basketball. You're gonna get a lot of good assets, and you're gonna have kind of a starter pack to build your team. It's gonna be a really good way to kind of jumpstart the next phase of the Brooklyn Nets. You get a really good young talent. You'll get some good role players to build around, and you'll get some great picks too. So, I think Toronto of the three makes the most sense.
It makes sense, and it's definitely the best package just because one, it's best players, and they have more picks. And this sounds like a very Kawhi Leonard type scenario, and where they can immediately take this team and trade away one of their better players and fan favorite and turn it into an instant rebuild into a championship team. And it would probably make more sense to trade Pascal or something like that, but either of those players. But you gotta look at the situation. The Nets have all the leverage, and they're not gonna want to trade Kevin Durant within the conference, within the division. Like
That is
you're gonna have to
true.
play
Yeah.
him what the hell of times a year, 8 times a year. I don't think this is realistic. This is like trading like Alvin Kamara to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This makes no sense. They wouldn't want to do
Or
that.
the Falcons.
That wouldn't happen. But if you gotta think about that, this doesn't really make sense for the Nets to do this trade. So I'm gonna throw out some other names. Um, I think you will start off with look at Utah Jazz, and they can outpick any team in the league except for maybe the Thunder. They just brought in 5 at Rudy Gobert. They have assets. They have a lot of picks to package and make it a really appealing offer. And I don't even know if those Minnesota picks are going to be that bad. I think those are going to be some pretty appealing picks. And then 2 more names, and if you're going to want to trade them into the Western Conference, like realistically, that's if you can, you want to. 3 teams in the Southwest. Dallas wouldn't be interesting. It's the only thing they have the assets to. And then the 2 teams that could make a deal, but no, we'll talk about them. Memphis and New Orleans. Now, New Orleans, don't look at me. I'm a Pels fan, so this is not me trying to swing my way to Kevin Durant. Because honestly, I don't want him. I wouldn't want Kevin Durant with my team. But this team makes the most sense for me to trade it to. They have the best player that any team can offer in a trade, Brandon Ingram or Zion Williamson. Like, they have the best young players to offer. No one can compete with them. They also have picks from the Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday trade. So they have the picks, the best young core. They have the best package they could send, and they would be instantly contenders with the roster they have around them. So this team makes a lot of sense to be traded to. But me personally, I just don't think this makes sense in terms of the timeline of the Pelicans.
Exactly. You don't want to expedite it by throwing in a big star.
And if you look at what they did, I mean, they have a great trajectory. And while Kevin Durant could make them a championship team, it may not. So there's a funny thing. This is a Pels fan account. And this is just he made a post. Should the Pelicans pursue Kevin Durant, a top 2 player in the league? Do you want him? Said the comments. No, not a Zion package. Why get him? He's the poor man's BI. BI better than KD any day. No, we have Brandon Ingram. Hell no. Nah, we good. For the people saying no. Honestly, Zion for KD is something to think about, but no. I'd rather be competent for a long time. Not getting up the years, the future of the player for a player on his last legs. Not it. Devontae Graham and Zion Chef is the only package that I would send. I mean, no, we already have him. Anyone that's willing to do that is crazy. No, stay with the young core. No. Absolutely not. Hell no. Hell fucking no. Absolutely not. Like, this is just like unanimous decision. You can't get 100 people to agree on something, and it's to not have Kevin Durant.
That's wild. You guys are crazy, but
We love our team, and we won't bow down.
I know. Look, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it for the sake of it doesn't work in the time frame. It's not because Brandon Ingram is better than Kevin Durant.
He's not, but they can't coexist in the same team, so they have to be in the package. And I like Brandon Ingram more than I like Kevin Durant. Not because he's a better player. I just like Brandon Ingram a lot.
And he's younger.
And it's not worth giving up Brandon Ingram and then 5 more first-round picks or Herb Jones or something like that.
You're going to have to give up Ingram, 1 to 2 role players, and a plethora of picks.
And that's just not
It's Kevin Durant.
That's just not worth it for a player that's going to be 38 by the time he's done with you guys. And with the way that things have gone in the past, if things don't go well in the first year, he could be gone. And I'm not saying that just because Kevin Durant's soft. And it's justified the way he fled the Brooklyn Nets. But who knows? We were all saying that this Nets were the best team in the league 2 years ago. So I think that I'd be remiss to say that this is not a possibility. So I think you keep the timeline. Yeah. You don't risk what you have going because you're already naturally becoming a championship team. So let's go to the other 2 options. Do you want to do Utah or Memphis first?
I think Memphis, I would really hate to see it because that deal is going to I just don't know the assets that they can piece together.
Well, first you got Jaren Jackson as the centerpiece of the trade.
It would be Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane.
And that's the best package that anyone can offer.
That's an amazing package. But they don't have the picks that New Orleans or Utah has. So, because Brooklyn's going to demand a lot of
New
picks.
Orleans off the table. They're not going to offer it. And I think this is one of the best packages you could offer for them.
It's a great package, but just like with New Orleans, it's a young team. They have their time frame. KD doesn't fit the time frame. As much as I'd love to see Ja and KD play together, I just don't think that when you get rid of Jaren Jackson and you get rid of Desmond Bane, there's not enough talent on this team for KD to say, okay, yes, I have Ja Morant, but this is not gonna take me to a championship. And at the end of the day, he's a ring chaser.
You have to think about it. He doesn't get to choose who he's traded to.
I know. But I feel like he's gonna get disgruntled. He'll get upset. So. He'll get upset there. 1 to 2 years, we're gonna be sitting here in a dorm room talking about the exact same thing. KD wanting out.
And that's the thing. I don't think there's really a team that he's gonna be having a better situation on than where he's at, besides New Orleans, and they don't want him. So I think it's kind of a lose-lose scenario and all. I mean, I think this team makes a lot of sense in terms of this is probably one of the better packages that can be sent outside New Orleans. So let's talk about the team that I think makes the most sense. The team that I think would be one of the best offers that you can do, and it would be the Utah Jazz. And this would be a package. It'd be purely a picks-based package because, purely considering the young guys that they have, it's really not that much. I mean, you're not throwing Donovan Mitchell. That's the reason you're trying to pair Donovan Mitchell. So you're just really trying to give like 10 picks to them and call it a day. But that's not what Brooklyn wants because they just traded their pick this year for Royce O'Neal. I mean, this makes no sense what the Nets are doing, man. Why would you trade your pick? And they already traded all the picks to Houston, so like they have to contend. So this really puts them in a weird position here. And I don't know why did they trade their 2023 pick for Royce O'Neal? It doesn't make any sense. Dude, and they could get their pick back, right? That would have to be in the trade to get their pick back.
Yeah. They'll need it. But at the same time,
imagine if it was protected. That'd be so funny.
Look, at the same time with KD, he goes to Utah, gets paired with Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, all those guys.
Jordan Clarkson.
But coming from the two biggest markets in the NBA, two of the most promising, or not promising, two of like the most, famous two of the most famous, well-established cities. He's going to go from San Francisco to New York to Salt Lake City. So I think that won't sit with him too well. And Donovan Mitchell is good, but this is not a championship contender. They don't have all the pieces there yet. So unless Utah can really convince some guys, which is hard given how small of a market they are, it's going to be pissed off KD again. So it's hard to find a situation that the team that trades for KD benefits from, KD benefits from, and Brooklyn benefits from. We've gone through like 7 teams, and there hasn't been a situation where all 3 parties are really benefiting.
So let's go down to the 2 scenarios. I think I can nail it down to. I think his best scenario for me is to stay, because if you look at the package a team is going to give up to get Kevin Durant, you're no longer a championship team because you have to give up so much to get him because of the state of his contract, by the quality of the player that he is. You're going to be giving up so much that there's no team that can possibly survive giving up that much and still being in a good shape to contend. So I think the best, you stay put. You got Kyrie Irving, you got Ben Simmons, you got Royce O'Neal, you got Blaze Griffin, you got Patty Mills, Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, like Seth Curry. This team is not that bad.
Not that bad.
Goran Dragic, you got, Bruce Brown. This team has good players on it, and I don't think that there's a team that has better options than what he does in Brooklyn. The only problem with this team is just chemistry. And Ben Simmons, don't know what he is, but Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, you're not gonna get a much better trio. Kevin Durant's not gonna get a better partnership anywhere else after a trade besides New Orleans, and I think we could rule that off.
Yeah, we can.
So, and the only trade partner that makes sense to bring him in is Toronto,
that's within the same division.
So I think you look at Phoenix, which is a subpar package, or you look at Toronto. So would you rather get a better package and sit within the division, or would you rather get a worse package and get him into the West? So,
look, in my opinion, I'd probably roll with Toronto if I'm stuck between the two, just because they trade away KD, Kyrie's gone, so they're not competing.
No, but they don't have their picks though. Because they traded them to Houston and to the Jazz.
Aren't they? They have to be protected.
They're not. They're completely unprotected. The Rockets' picks are completely unprotected.
Oh my god.
They really messed this up. The Nets really
I've never
messed this
seen. This is like. You know what? We can crap on teams like Sacramento for having poor management, but they've never. Brooklyn is messed up with the best player in the last 5 years, the second best point guard in the NBA, and the best shooting guard of our generation. So,
and if 2 years ago, this team just looked unfair. This team really looked on paper like nothing could stop this. And I'm not talking about looking like the Lakers at the beginning of the season where they looked unstoppable on paper. but like in 2013, like they were in their prime when they all were assembled, and this looked
Yeah.
like a good group. Like this looked like damn near unstoppable. So I think that this is really just, and they, unprotected. They thought these picks would be worth nothing. So I think if I'm the Nets, I am not trading Kevin Durant's ass. You can sit your ass down because you are staying here. Because
He can sit, but if Kyrie leaves, he sits.
that's the same result that happens if they trade him either way. So I don't know what to.
Yeah. It's a lose-lose. That's the conclusion here.
All right, let us know what you think you would do as Kevin Durant in the comments below, or what you would do if you were the Nets. And until Kevin Durant gets traded, see you next time.